Good afternoon, everybody. I so much appreciate you being here this afternoon for Academic Plenary 2025. Thank you for your participation in Convocation as well. So for everybody who is here, those of you that are online, thank you and happy new academic year. So excited about all the things that we have going on. I already have my first suggestion for next year is that we need to build in time for a nap in between. But you have to sign a promise that you'll come. All right. We are going to keep the momentum rolling. Dr. A is kind enough. He spends a little bit of time, typically with trustees after convocation, but makes his way back to Academic Plenary, and we really appreciate his time. So without further ado, Dr. John Avendano.
Thank you, Dr. Wall, and happy anniversary once again to all of our faculty. Thank you all. So Dr. Wall has always been gracious enough to give me just a couple of minutes here, and I want to spend that time doing a couple of things with all of you. First and always to thank you for the work that you all do. I mean that sincerely. I know you hear me say that every year, but I want you to know, given, there was a subtle message in my keynote today about challenges, peaks, and valleys, right? That we are always going to continue to have these challenges and our peaks and our valleys, right? Doesn't matter. There is no world that exists. There's no world that exists that doesn't have that. But I think what makes us stronger is to be able to come through all of those things, right? And we know, because I get this question from many of you, and I will accept them. And when I can answer them, I will. When I can't, I'll let you know I don't know, but I can tell you what we're going to try to do. Right? So we know that in the state of Florida and really nationally right now, there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of headwinds when it comes to higher education on a lot of different fronts. Okay, and so what do you do with that? How do you deal with that? Okay, and I shared this with a group of, I had the opportunity to share this with a group of presidents back in February, and I did this example with them. This is an example that I had used. Actually, I was a player. I was in high school, so you probably wonder what he has a baseball out here. So what does it mean, right? So when I was in high school, I had an amazing baseball coach, which helped me continue on in my playing career. And in doing so, we had an exercise every day before practice. Every day we had this exercise. I don't know if it's going to work with this large of a group, but I'm going to try, right? I'm going to try, but I'm going to ask you to really try as well, okay? And so this is the exercise. Every day before practice, before we went outside, we were going to a classroom, and in this classroom, he had a baseball. And he held the baseball up, and this is where you're going to participate as best you can. I don't know how it's going to translate in the far back, but hopefully it does. And you can even do this at home sometimes, not that you're ever going to sit around doing this, but I seriously want you all to focus on this baseball right now. I want you just to stare and try to narrow your focus down and just stare at this baseball and keep narrowing that focus as you're looking at this ball. Try to keep narrowing the focus so that slowly, while you hear my voice, you really only focus on the baseball. You may not even see me, but now that I mentioned it, you may glance a little bit. I get that happens, right? But immediately, as soon as you start seeing that wavering, that expansion of your vision, I want you to keep drilling it back to look at that baseball, right? And when you practice this every single day, what ends up happening is you get so good, you really do, but you have to do this every day. You get so good at focusing on the baseball, focusing on this, that I start to disappear. maybe the big screen that's adjacent to me starts to disappear because you're not looking at that. You're only looking at one thing, and that's this baseball. And when you do that every day, what ends up happening is you get so laser focused on what the objective is, everything else just becomes blind to you. Doesn't mean it doesn't still exist. It exists. The screen still exists. I'm still here. People around you are still here. But the bottom line is your focus is on one thing. This one thing for us is our mission and our students. Everything else, when we focus on that, everything else starts to fade away. Doesn't mean it's not there. Just means we can't do anything about that right now. But we can do something about this. We can stay focused on what this is, which is our mission, and be focused on our students and our colleagues. And all the noise that's around us now, it will probably continue for a while, is going to continue to be there, but I want you to have a level of trust and confidence that we do everything we can as an organization, as an administration, as a board of trustees, to stay focused on this. And if we have to deal with something else, we'll go ahead and deal with it. Those are the challenges and the headwinds. But we're not going to lose focus on what we're supposed to be doing to begin with. Right? So with that, again, not only want to thank you for everything that you all do, it is something you can try at home too, but you can do a light socket or something like that. But if you remember that, again, I think it's going to serve us really well over the year. Related to that, I used to, I don't know if you saw some of our, well, hopefully you all saw our commercials that we have for the coming year. And it's kind of related to all that, because the other question I've been getting lately is, so what's happening in higher ed, and what's happening in Texas and everything else. Believe me, we all know, we're all paying attention, we're aware of what that is, right? We can't control that right now. We can try to influence it, and believe me, we try to influence it in any way that we can. But what I used to, and some of you probably are tired of hearing my stories to my children, but to our children, we used to give them kind of two stories. One was, you drive your bus, right? Don't drive, some of you heard me say, probably, commencement. You drive your bus, right? Don't jump on somebody else's bus and let them take you wherever they want to take you. You drive where you need to go, right? And you be in control of wherever you can at that point in time, right? And then the second message I used to give them is, I don't care what you do in life, and we've been very blessed, very fortunate. Our 3 children are all doing very, very well. And so we've been very fortunate that way, very blessed that way. But I said, it doesn't matter to me how much money you make. It doesn't matter to me. I want you to matter wherever you're working, whoever you're working for, I want you to be the very best employee. I want you to be so good that there's no way in the world they could ever get rid of you. And if it's something that has to happen at that organization, they're going to do everything they can to keep you, right? And what that is really our commercial, and that is become irreplaceable. So when you see our commercials, we're not just talking to our students. We're really talking to ourselves. Let's do everything that we need to do to be irreplaceable as a state college here in Northeast Florida. And in doing so, I can assure you, we're going to continue to serve our community. We're going to continue to be focused on being the best institution there is, not only in Northeast Florida, not only in Florida, but in the country, as we continue to strive to be the best state college, community college that this country's ever seen. So with that, I want to thank you all for everything that you do. Please know that I'm always available to you. I will respond to emails, questions, whatever you might have. But at the very least, please know that I am proud of the work that you do. I'm proud of this institution, and I am looking forward to an outstanding 60th anniversary. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Appreciate it. Yeah, the first time in his office, I was like, please don't throw that at me. But he's not that kind of guy. Dr. Ray, thank you so much. I'm going to invite to the stage Dr. John Woodward, our Faculty Senate President. And as he makes his way, I just want to say how fortunate we are to have his leadership as well In the years that I have been in this position, the Faculty Senate has really evolved and transformed, and those of you that are serving on it, have served on it for any length of time, I think you know what I am talking about. The Faculty Senate has become an ever increasingly relevant and important voice, have taken on a lot of issues that are really important, and I know that I rely on that input a lot. So for everything that he brings as a colleague, for the supportive work we do together, for the push and pull conversations that we have, and for our alignment on that mission, please help me welcome Dr. John Woodward.
Hi, hodling neighbors. I won't keep you here very long. I just want to let you know that I'm going to send you a whole bunch of emails. One of those emails is going to be who all the senators are. We have a new slate this year. Each campus has senators, so feel free, once you get the list of senators, feel free to approach any of them and rail at them, and they can come rail at me, and we can get stuff done in Senate. I should also tell you when we meet. We meet the first Thursday of every month. So our first meeting of this cycle will be September, whatever that Thursday is. It's in my calendar. We do have WebEx meetings. If you'd like to join us, let me know, and I can send you a link. It's not a problem. Or if there are a lot of you who want to be a part of it, then we'll figure it out. What are we talking about? Well, I imagine we're talking about what many of you are talking about. And that is this lovely thing called artificial intelligence that is not terribly intelligent, but it is incredibly artificial. We have a statement, and I'll send this out as well, Faculty Senate statement. It's very broad, but it has been interpreted in a specific case that we will talk about in our first Senate meeting. And the interpretation is that we are opposed to integrating something into Canvas that advertises itself as being able to grade student work and give feedback using AI. That seems to step over into territory that we in the Senate said we don't really want to go into that territory yet. We're going to talk about it in Senate because not all the senators think that's what the interpretation should be. So that's what we do. We sit around and we argue with each other all the time. And if you know me, you know that's what I like, which is the reason why I've been Senate President for a very long time. That's on our agenda. We have the faculty travel is on our agenda. There are some things that are on my agenda that have been there for 6 years. And Steve Milchanowski just told me, you shouldn't tell people that because it makes it seem like we don't get anything done. I am proud of that because what that means is that there are some things that are so complicated, even though it seems simple, they're so complicated because we have so many voices, and all of those voices are different, and all of those voices have different interests, and they have different perspectives from their backgrounds, and that is what makes Senate very cool. In February, we're going to have elections. Please pay attention to our elections. Union elections happen at the same time. We're different things. Pay attention to my elections this year. I'll send something out and tell you all to pay attention. And feel free, please, to volunteer to be a senator. In February, you'd get elected. You wouldn't be a senator until September of the next year. So you'd have some time to come to understand what it means to be a senator and talk to some of your colleagues. Another very important aspect of Faculty Senate is, of course, academic freedom. If you are part of the union, you just heard this spiel from me, a different spiel from me when it comes to academic freedom. But we in the Senate, we are the protector, along with our academic colleagues, Dr. Wall, all of your deans, we are the guardians of academic freedom. And yes, there's been some pressures, we could put it that way, political pressures on our academic freedom, but we still have it. It is still something you should be confident in. You should be able to, you should teach what it is that you have been, what it is that you have a degree in, what it is that you know. You should feel confident to use your judgment as you see fit. And we in the Senate, we are there to support you and defend you. And then also annoy Dr. Wall with all of our requirements all the time, which I think last year we didn't have a whole bunch. So they're becoming fewer. One other thing, I have faculty exchange of views, which is where I get to sit down with the wonderful Dr. Avendano, Dr. Wall. It's not just me, it's Steve Milchanowski, my vice president, Pam Brada, the secretary of the Senate, the union president, Lourdes Norman McKay. We sit down and we talk about high-level things that have to do with the college as a whole from the faculty's perspective. So that's another aspect. Steve, Pam, we bring the perspective of Senate into that meeting and what we've spoken about and what we want to see movement on, how we want to see the college deal with issues or approach restructuring or whatever the case may be. So Senate has a voice at the table in all of those. That's the big things. Welcome back. I want to end by saying this is probably one of the best places to be right now in the entire world. Beginning of a new year, new faces in the classroom, and this is a great college, this is a great institution. I personally have made it into that. Please, no. No, we collectively, we have made it into that. And I think we've done a really good job. We're pretty amazing. So feel that, embrace it, and have fun in class. Thank you.
Dr. Woodward, thank you so very much. I'm going to change paces a little bit. And I'm very excited to say, I think maybe for the first time that we've been doing academic plenary, we have student services in the house joining us. I know. You all that have worked with me for any length of time, you know that I am a collaborator. I think we have to put down walls, we have to walk, and we have to work together. And this is something that right now with Dr. Elliot Strickland, who's also joining us today. Thank you, Elliot. Oh, the love. Oh, the love. Oh. We really do have a commitment to, and we are clicking. And so Christine Hibbard is here to talk with us about enhanced student record access. Christine, welcome.
Have to adjust that a little bit. I'm not as tall as the Johns. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Well, good afternoon. I am very pleased to be here with you all today. We're going to talk a little bit about security enhancements that we're going to see within the system for faculty. About a year ago, maybe a little bit less than that, Elliot was involved in some conversations from faculty exchange of views that then continued in Faculty Senate, specifically around security access within the system for faculty members to gain access to very specific information in student records. And so behind me, and I did not memorize it, so I'm going to turn just a bit, you'll see where there were very specific asks from faculty. The ones highlighted in blue are ones that we were able to bring into production. The two at the bottom either don't live within Campus Solutions, which is where Student Records lives, or it is managed through IT. And so those two bottom ones, we're not able to deliver, but I can ensure that we've got very good processes in place for you all to have access to information when you need to, or a workflow to get information updated for your students. And I just noticed there's a big screen in front of me. I don't have to turn anymore. So the first one is really getting access into the system, into student records. So here in the next couple of weeks, as you all log into your system underneath the faculty tile, you will see a Student Services Center tile available for you. Once you click into that Student Services Center tile, it's going to bring you to where you would put in very specific student information. Once you click into that area, you're going to see three different tabs: Student Center, General Information, and Admissions. Under the Student Center, you'll have access to advising notes, so you'll be able to see what our academic advising teams are putting into our student records. You'll be able to see course history, which will provide you with the grades that the students have earned in prior courses, the terms that the students had attended those prior courses, and whether or not they were taken here at FSCJ or we transferred them in. And then enrollment verification information as well. You'll also see listed here some contact information. You'll have a student's home address, we've got email address, as well as their personal phone numbers. You'll be able to find this information under the General Informations tab as well. So a couple of places if you need to get in quick contact with your students, the information will be housed in these areas for you. And then we'll also be able to provide you all with some testing information. You'll see under the admissions tab, test summary will provide you with the tests that the students have taken, their scores, and the date in which those tests were completed. After we complete here at Plenary, I have connected with academic operations. You all will receive an email outlining all of this information, including a document that gives you a how-to guide of how you'll be accessing this information in the system. So be on the lookout by the end of this week, if not beginning of next week, for all of this information that you'll be able to access. Beginning the week of September 8th, your security will be updated. So after that point, you'll have access to the student information in the records that we just reviewed. One thing that I do want to keep in mind, though, as we're providing additional access to this information, is that we are protected by FERPA. So make certain that you're utilizing this information for academically related events or something that's tied specifically to the classroom. We want to make certain that we're not violating any FERPA regulations. You're reviewing this information in secure areas, and you're not cascading information where it shouldn't be cascaded. If there are any follow-up questions after this or after the email comes out, feel free to connect with either Bridget Waynes, our registrar, or myself, and we'll be happy to provide you some additional insights. And that's it for me. Thank you.
And they put me in a flash mob, good Lord. All right. A lot of you will remember some years ago we had some issues, significant issues with financial aid at this college. Christine Hibbard, you're welcome back anytime. In addition to that great work and other things, the person who led getting all of that straightened out and getting financial aid on track at this institution is that woman right there. So thank you. One more, she mentioned FERP at the end. Dr. A talked about the baseball. Make sure it's because something you see on that baseball that gets you into student records, okay? That was an issue of, there are people who have legitimate concerns about opening that up, okay? So with great power comes great responsibility, and my answer was case-by-case basis, okay? So do great things with that. All right, Janiyah, welcome. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well.
We got VP power up here today. Let me hear you. Come on. Give us a warm welcome.
So for me, no year would be complete without some sort of bargaining. And last year, we bargained faculty evaluations. And what I'd like to say about that is it was something that everybody agreed was overdue because it had never been touched since the time that the original contract was ratified. And people saw that it was out of date, and people saw that it was checking boxes, et cetera. So we came together, two teams. We engaged in interest-based bargaining, and I encourage all of you to learn more about that. But instead of the push and the pull, it's trying to say, where are the places that we do see common ground? What are the common interests that we have? And from that perspective, we move forward saying, how can we revise this faculty evaluation instrument? So we wanted to share some information with you about that today. I'm hoping she's online. Dr. Lourdes Norman McKay, your union president, is a tad under the weather. We miss you, Lourdes. We love you, Lourdes. And so Janiyah has stepped up to work with me to walk you through this.
Because it's in my job description as vice president. I didn't volunteer.
So our core idea here was that we wanted an instrument that supported faculty growth as you all work in your craft, and to recognize the effort and the contributions that you all make. And here was a starting point that we had. Are there ever times or places for the faculty where there are performance issues that need to be addressed? Yes. Is that the vast majority of what? No. Is it the majority of what? No. It's a very small minority of what we are doing ever in these types of evaluations. And so we need an evaluation that could speak to those kinds of issues, but that wasn't focused on those issues. Instead, we wanted a faculty evaluation that was focused on supporting growth and recognizing those accomplishments. Janelle, will you talk a little bit about some of the core features?
Absolutely. So many of you know that I also have a role with the Academy for Teaching and Learning, and so professional development is a huge priority for me. And so one of the things that I thought needed to be, one of our focuses was developing faculty, not just having this, slap on the hand or here's what you did bad type thing, because I think sometimes when we think of evaluations, that's what's happening in our mind is good or bad. Some of us are those black and white type folks, right? So we see everything as good or bad. But I wanted this, and I think the whole team shared this desire to make it something that was formative in nature and that was building on your professional practice as you went through various stages of your professional development. Because it doesn't look the same for our first year faculty who we welcomed to the college yesterday as it does for those of us who've been here 20, 30 years. So we wanted to also make sure that it was a little bit flexible because the job is different based on your discipline. As a math instructor, I don't care about my students wearing open-toe shoes. But if I taught chemistry and I allowed that in my classroom, that would be a safety hazard for my students. And so there are different responsibilities that we have based on our disciplines, based on what we're doing in our specific classrooms. And we wanted to account for that nuance. And we wanted to make sure it was a tool that would be flexible enough for everyone to have a relevant evaluation experience. And then we also wanted to take away the PDF passing. I am way over the back and forth with the PDFs. If I never see another PDF again, it will be too soon. So we wanted it to be something that was electronic, that we could not easily lose like you can with the email or miss. So it is integrated now into the My Impact system that has been used by all of the other employee groups. And because of the unique structure of we'll talk about it in a second, I'm sure, the unique structure of the evaluation, we had to make a lot of changes back and forth to tailor fit this My Impact space to fit what we wanted for our faculty evaluation process. John?
Janaya, you are crushing it, so why don't you keep talking about that structure?
Thank you, John. So we essentially have two portions of the evaluation. But before I talk about the evaluation, I want to make a statement that I said probably 30, 50 times during our negotiations. The time that you sit down to do your evaluation should not be the only conversation you're having with your supervising administrator about what's happening in your professional development. And if it is, please call me. So we wanted this to have a formative and a summative assessment, just like we do in our classes with our students, right? It's not any different. So before we had, was it like 60 check boxes where it was like meets, excels or something? I don't even remember what the criteria were, you guys. That's how much attention I paid to the old evaluation. And we wanted it to be more than just check, 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 but an opportunity for you as a faculty member to say, here are the things that I have focused my attention on, the things that I have developed intentionally, the things that are changing the learning experiences of my students in my classes. And we also wanted an opportunity for those basic, everybody needs to be doing these things in the classroom activities to be evaluated. So for example, each and every one of us, although it may be different in your different classes, we're all responsible for the security and safety of our students. That looks different, as I said earlier, based on what we're doing. If you've got needles hanging around in a biomed class or in nursing, that's probably not great. You're probably missing some steps there. If you have students, even our librarians are included in the evaluation because they're our faculty. If you've got students running in and out of the emergency exits, that's probably not a great idea either. So we wanted some things that were basic responsibilities for all faculty. After that, we had a second level of responsibilities for teaching faculty and responsibilities for librarian faculty. Because those jobs, although we are all faculty, are distinctly different. I don't have to buy books for the college. I don't have to evaluate and catalog anything. And there were some other things on that list, but I don't remember what they were because I'm not a librarian. But I don't do any of those things. Similarly, our librarians do not spend the majority of their time creating lessons. They do teach, but they don't spend the majority of their time creating lessons and teaching instruction and assessment, things like that. So we wanted to have some distinct differences from the basic duties to the teaching faculty duties and the librarian duties. And then, like I said, the second part is the formative assessment, where you're having a back and forth conversation in writing with your supervisor, where you're reflecting on the things that you have accomplished and setting goals, hopefully achievable, relevant goals, not just something to fill out a piece of paper, because I'm over that, right? I think we all are. We want this to be something that's going to help us progress in our professions. Thank you.
That's partnership. No, I appreciate Janiyah because she jumped up on short notice. She did not get to preview the slides. I'm so proud of what we do with professional development at this college. That has come a long way in a long time, and we really wanted to bring that to the faculty experience. You all are at different places in your careers. You have different focus. You have different interests. So, of course, be solid, be great in the classroom. But somebody who is later in their career, what their interests are, or maybe there's a particular year or two, you say, I want to focus over here. I want to have that conversation so we can support that. So gone is the time of figuring out, you attended graduation. Did you meet your standard for attending grad, or did you exceptionally attend graduation? You wore a tie? I don't know. So I'm really excited about what this new direction is going to be. In terms of the process, here's how it'll work. There'll be an initial discussion about the process and the timeline that supervisors will have with their faculty early on in the term. And we also have that in the collective bargaining agreement, that idea that there are conferences early in the term to start to talk about, hey, what are you looking at doing this year forthcoming? Then, just like we have right now, a teaching observation will occur at some point during the evaluation period. For new faculty, it would happen in the second term that they are here. And then the faculty member is going to complete the formative piece of this, which is about where are you? What are your goals? What would you like to be doing in the next year? The first time through, that's all you can talk about because it's the first time through. We're not going to ask you about how did your goals go from last time because we never talked about them, at least formally, in this evaluation. Once that is done, the supervisor will complete the more summative part. That is the more nuts and bolts part of the evaluation. And then at that time comes the evaluation meeting. And again, if there was anything that needs to be addressed, it's addressed there. But really the idea is to have this developmental formative focus. So we'll open this up so people can see it. We will have some training and information and some resources that come out for you all. So Martina Perry in Human Resources is going to very soon send out information so you can get a little bit more familiar with this, and I hope you will take the time to do so. In closing on this topic, what I would like to say is my thanks to everybody all around that table who came together to do that interest-based bargaining. You can feel when, backs are a little bit up and you got to work out some hard problems. And then you can also feel when it starts to click and everybody is on the same side and making progress. And we did experience that at times in this room. It is hard work. It takes a lot of time, but my deep appreciation to everybody who participated in that, I think will be a better institution for it. Janiyah, thank you. It's an almost annual highlight. One of the big cores of what we do is professional development, and it is the Faculty Academy. And the Faculty Academy has to be led by faculty, and we are so, among all the faculty who are engaged in that, the person who has been leading the charge the last few years and doing such a great job, Dr. Audrey Ante. Audrey.
Hello. I have just a couple of quick things for everyone. Faculty travel, my favorite thing ever. We have a few changes to faculty travel this year. One of the big ones is that our fantastic full-time faculty member who was on the Academy coordinating travel for us, Matt Keyes, some of you, reached out to him to use the P card that he had to pay in advance for some of your travel expenses, has left the college to work at a different university. So we do not have a P card anymore in the Academy. And we have a little bit of a difference in our budget. So our budget this year is $105,000, which is still a lot of money for people to be able to travel, do virtual conferences. We can still support each person up to $3,000. That's within the year. So if you request, say, like $500 to do a virtual conference in November, and you want to travel, out of state maybe to a conference that's aligned with, a professional organization that you belong to, you would still be able to request more funds, but not exceeding a total of $3,000 for the year. And not to spur, anybody to panic or anything, but we have already dedicated or spent close to a quarter of our budget for the year. So some people know they're going to travel, like they request the funds as early as possible. If you're looking at the spring, or even in May, sort of end of spring, start of summer, and you know that there are conferences that you want to attend, I would encourage you to go ahead and go in and request the funds, let your supervising administrator know, so that we can kind of help you, have that funding available to you. You do have to complete a travel authorization before traveling. So that's not our request for funds that you submit through the Academy, but that's the process that you do through PeopleSoft. And once your travel authorization is approved, that means it's been signed off on by your immediate supervisor, by the person who's managing the budget, who within the Academy for Teaching and Learning is going to be Martina Perry. And then when you come back from travel, we really, really need you to submit that expense report as soon as you can, ideally within 30 days of your return, so that we know that the funds have come out of our account. And sometimes people change their minds, or sometimes plans change, or things happen, people get sick. We would so appreciate if you would just let us know if you've requested funds and you end up not spending that money, so we can kind of put it back in the pool for other people to request, and we know that we have it. And if you have, questions about travel, feel free to email the academy at fscj.edu. Even though we don't have Matt anymore, me and Janiyah and Sam Ertenberg are kind of passing off the management of that to each other throughout the year. So we will get back to you, and we have already been approving travel. International travel is kind of a separate little piece, like there's additional process steps for that. And we were excited and surprised by the number of international travel requests we had last year. But it does require approval from the college president. So the Academy can conditionally, say, sure, this seems to us as a good professional development opportunity for you. We would like to give you the funds, but you'll still have to have approval from the college president, and that's per college APM. And we would ask that you also think about, like, if you're doing international travel and it isn't specifically for a conference, something that's clearly a professional development opportunity, really think about expressing how it's supposed to fit into larger goals for your teaching, your service, or your research at the college. And then something that I wanted to touch on that John Woodward kind of brought up as relates kind of to AI specifically. I just want to remind everybody that regular and substantive interaction has been a big part of some of the conversations happening at the college. And this relates specifically to online courses. And came from some guidance that we received from the Department of Education. Regardless of what happens to the Department of Education, the institution still values regular and substantive interaction, which is essentially instructor presence in online classes. And so you can see, like, we've had conversations about it. The Online Advisory Committee kind of came to, an agreement about how to sort of communicate this out to faculty, what the guidance was coming from DOE. And then in March, we offered a panel discussion on regular and substantive interaction. And we've also incorporated it into our PD 1896 Quest training. So there's a little section where you actually make an RSI plan. And just as a reminder, this is part of it. This is not the whole thing. This is just a small piece of it. But in order to have regular and substantive interaction, there are 2 interaction methods that we should be choosing from a list that looks similar to kind of what's behind me. Providing direct instruction. I know we're talking about asynchronous online classes, but this is an option for having regular and substantive interaction. Assessing or providing feedback on a student's coursework. Give me a second, AI is going to come up. Providing information or responding to questions about the content of a course or a competency. I'm sorry for the wonkiness of the bullets. Facilitating a group discussion regarding the content of a course or competency, right? So those are the choices that we have. You only have to choose 2 to be a part of your plan. And then the bigger question becomes, can AI feedback fulfill one of the requirements for regular and substantive interaction? And this is not new from the guidance. Like, we received this from the guidance, and as part of the conversations, it just wasn't as overwhelmingly like present then as it is now. And the short answer is no. So feedback that's generated through AI cannot count to fulfill one of the requirements for regular and substantive interaction. But I will add to that, neither can adaptive learning systems or other forms of interactive computer-assisted instructional tools that give those auto-graded answers. So AI feedback is in a category with those things. Looking forward to whatever Faculty Senate decides to kind of like come together and discuss and guide us, faculty, in regards to using AI for feedback. But as pertains to this guidance, we can use AI feedback as long as it isn't the only way that you are giving feedback to your students. Much like many people use third-party tools like McGraw-Hill Connect or MyLabs or whatever it may be, so that students get some immediate feedback so that they know in the moment how they're doing and how they're progressing. Faculty can incorporate AI feedback as a part of that, but it can't be all of it. It can't even be most of it. And really think about the ways in which you're going to add your instructional presence into your course as part of the way you give feedback to students. So regular and substantive interaction includes regular grading and instructor feedback. Are you going in to add on to maybe what auto-graded information has delivered to students? Are you offering them guidance that's more specific, to what they've submitted in writing in a discussion, as opposed to only, running it through AI in order to get sort of a generic response? And it's something I think that as we're kind of being bombarded with AI, and a lot of us want, technology that's going to help us make our jobs a little bit easier, support our students, engage our students, and there are lots of opportunities for that. I think sometimes we have to step back and say, okay, this is one of the things that's important in my classes. That's what I value as an instructor. And this is how I'm going to incorporate technology. This is how I'm going to ensure that I'm very present to my students in my online class, face-to-face class, live online, hybrid, high flex, live flex, whatever you may be teaching, whatever it is. And then these are other options as well, use of a rubric to grade assignments with text or audio feedback feedback provided to each student, and then instructor feedback on individual students' performance in auto-graded assignments. So you have like an auto-graded assignment, and then you add some additional feedback to that, which requires us to kind of go through, look at what the student was doing, and then give them something like a little bit more specific. And then I did put a QR code up there. You can scan it now or not. It's up to you, but it's a recording of the panel discussion that we had when we first kind of talked about regular and substantive interaction. I can send it out from the Academy email as well, along with, I've sent them before, but for new faculty, you may not have seen it, and along with the attached kind of guidelines that the Online Advisory Committee had agreed on. And as part of that, I also want to encourage everybody to continue to check your email. We have Academy newsletters. I send out emails when we have things that isn't like necessarily something that goes in our newsletter. One of the things that I definitely want to ask you to kind of look ahead for is opportunities to participate in elevating the FSCJ experience. There are going to be some sessions scheduled that are going to be a little bit more conducive to faculty schedules, and it's a good way to kind of earn a nice chunk of PD credit if you're working on adding PD credits for the 1%. And I also really want to know, the Academy wants to know, we have these forms on our website, but what workshops do you want to see that we aren't offering? You don't have to wait for us to survey you in order to tell us what you want or what you need, or maybe you want to teach a workshop. So that QR code now at the bottom of that screen goes to our page where we have forms to request a workshop. And if we don't have a person with the expertise to offer it, we'll look for the opportunity. Like, where can we find it? Is it somebody that we can reach out to? Or maybe it's something that's offered by a third party like AQ or Quality Matters. So definitely let us know if there's something that you want or that you need that we're not giving you, especially as you start to also think about, your My Impact, like what you're going to put in there as your development plan. And when you start like maybe really digging into what's being offered at the college, thinking about, well, I've done these, I've been at the college. I'm one of the people that's been in the college for a bazillion years, and I want something different. I want something else. Feel free to let us know, because we want to make sure that we help you get what you want. And then this is the Academy members for the upcoming academic year. You can also, you can't find them on our website yet, but they will also be on our website once I get it updated. And I hope Diane and Marilyn forgive me for using their picture, but these are a picture of happy faculty on the Academy. Email us if you have any questions. Thanks so much, everybody.
If you have pictures of happy faculty, I would love to see them as well. So, Audrey, thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. Everybody involved in the Academy, thank you for what you do. It was under Dr. Mark Bosey's leadership for a number of years. He's currently serving in an interim role in the Department of Education. So the wheels are still turning, but thank you, Mark. And I mean this so sincerely from the academic and the faculty side. I have occasion to be out and about at times with different institutions and interacting, and sometimes this comes up, and sometimes people have questions or look at a website, et cetera. Where we are in terms of professional development and faculty development, it blows people away. They are so impressed. And when you look at the certifications, the options, the responsiveness, the travel, all those things. So if you are not plugged in, please do. It is a real strength of this institution. $105,000, there's a story. For a number of years, we pushed it up to $75,000, and we were doing okay, and it wasn't enough. Dr. Woodward and I worked together. Faculty Senate came. We made the case. We got it up to $150,000. There's some budgetary things that happen here and there. I won't go into the details, but we needed to come back down to 105. I want to stand here in front of all of you. Audrey, John, I'm committed to getting that number back up. So bear with us, keep traveling, do your thing. We absolutely want to support that. In other news, Dr. Lourdes Norman McKay has weighed in on my text, and she said, Janiyah, we did just fine. So thank you very, very much. All right. All right. We're in the home stretch now, and for the last time, I want to welcome you to what I think is going to be an absolutely outstanding and exciting year. And when you take a look at this picture up here, it really shows kind of what we're all about, which is full of potential. We have a long way to go, and the truth is that students complete and finish all the way around the calendar. But we do get to that culminating place of graduation, and that arena is full with thousands of students. It's going to take us a lot of time. It's going to take us a lot of effort. We got to get a lot of time and effort out of them, but we are up for the challenge, so let's get to work. All right. The fundamentals, as they do every year, remain the same. I believe that you have to be cut from a certain cloth to be in higher education. I believe that it is something that you see the spark of learning, and that you get something out of transmitting knowledge. You get something out of seeing people grow. And I believe that when we come together and do that collectively, things start to flow and a certain magic has to happen. There is a saying that not everything that measures matters, and not everything that matters can be measured. And to me, a vibrant academic culture is one of those things. But we ain't here for just the money. You have to love what you are doing, which to me means that we have to take care of our people. Because if you all are living and working in a vibrant academic culture, I believe that's part of what you need as a professional, And that will then feed you to have that spark. And if we get that right, a lot of things will flow right from there. So that is always, always essential to me. And I want to say, as we stand here today, heading into 25, 26, you can feel the energy. You can feel that the culture has really continued to improve. We've got that vibrant academic culture. Let's talk a little bit about a bias for yes. The answer is not always yes. Sometimes it's not now. Sometimes it's we can't. But in the grand scheme of things, we want to have a bias towards yes when things come up from anywhere in the institution. A bias for yes got us a stronger honors program. A bias for yes got us involved with Brooks Rehabilitation, when we are training people on site, their incumbent workers, that we are there upskilling them where they work. A bias for yes has CSX, the railroad conglomerate, establishing a state-of-the-art training facility right here at our fire academy that is going to be unparalleled and the only thing like it in the eastern United States. A bias for yes got our students and our faculty to England, to Wales, to South Africa, and to France. International travel is here, as I said last year. That bias for yes goes a long way. So when you have a cause, when you have an interest, keep on talking about it. And when people come to you and they're looking for that support for an idea or that flexibility, think about where and how. If I can't support this fully, where and how can I support it partially? It is, in a sense, kind of what I talked about with interest-based bargaining. It's not the push and the pull, the yes and the no. It's where do we have common ground and where can we go forward? That bias for yes remains, to me, fundamental. Wide fences. There are fences, but we want to give people as much room as possible to work inside of them. Dr. Woodward just talked about academic freedom, and we have spent 2 years, and I'm not going to get on it this year, everything that's happened with general education changes. And that conversation is still ongoing. There are still concerns about it. There's still questions that come about what are you teaching? What textbook are you using? My answer to you, and it mirrors what Dr. Woodward said, you've got a curriculum, you've got the expertise, teach to that. We are not indoctrinating people. We are not telling them how they have to think. We are teaching them what we know about our discipline. We are educating them with the facts that they have to know. So you use your wide fences in there. There are fences, but we keep them wide. When Christine Hibbard was up here just a little while ago and talked about the access to student records, some of you are probably like, well, that's great. Why do I care? But there are a lot of faculty who know why that matters. Faculty in English for academic purposes re-level their students at the beginning of a term, so they want to know what those test scores are. So access to those records helps them serve students. Some of you write letters of recommendation forever and ever and ever and ever, and a student signs away and says, I will tell you whatever you want to know. You want to know something about where that student's been. Or you have a student that is somehow struggling in an area and you want to know something about that academic history. So there are real and legitimate interests that students want to be in there. But there's a variety of perspectives about whether we should have done that at all, and not everybody thinks the answer is yes. I support it. Dr. Strickland supports it. We're going to do it responsibly, and so there it is. That is wide fences. Sometimes, inside of those wide fences, we have to come to a collective point of view. We can't always be everywhere with, 300 different opinions, but at least we start with bringing everybody to the party, bringing everybody around the table, and having those conversations. And then lastly, when it comes to our teaching, rigor and rapport. The standard is the standard. Teach to the standard. Don't ever let anybody tell you different, suggest you different. Don't let a bug get in your head that it is different. Teach to the standard. But when we teach here with our students, there's a reason that we're an open access institution. There's a reason that we don't ask our faculty to have research responsibilities. There's a reason that we have small class sizes. And that is because when we're interacting with our students who come with challenges, who, my goodness, 60% of them are first-generation students. I was a first-gen student. My parents told me I was going to college. I got there. I didn't know what the hell was going on. So when you come to, and that was residential. When you come to a place like FSCJ, wow, you could have a very tenuous connection. And that's why rapport is so important, because we have got to make this place, your class, the program, the college, the student experience, we have got to make those things sticky so that our students hang in there with us and we promote that grit that gets them to where it is they want to go. The fundamentals remain the same. Now, there's a whole lot that is going right at this institution. And I'll run through a little bit quickly. Everything that's happening with programs, my goodness. We continue to address programs that are new and needed. Dr. Shakia Riggins, I told you I was going to shout you out. Where are you? Oh, my goodness. So between her and Dr. Brower, AI, launching it because industry wants it, and we need to train people that are going to do that. You heard today at Convocation, we have reestablished the Center for Academic Excellence in cybersecurity. We're going after a bachelor's in cybersecurity because there is such a need here in Jacksonville. And Shakia, God love you, walking up here, she said, by the way, I got something else for you. We're doing a thing with Miami-Dade, and we're going to get money. So thank you very much. Programs are strong. We have programs that have to have program accreditations, clean sheet all the way across. Reaccredited, 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 reaccredited. And those of you that have those programs, you put in such amazing time, effort, and work, and that is tough data, and those students have to come out and they have to pass those licensure exams at a particular percentage, and we are on the mark because of your work. We are strong right now in terms of programs. Resources, it's pretty good. When you're curious, I'll tell you a little bit more about the budget situation. Our state funding went up, but 2 years ago, we were put into the state health insurance system. It's a better insurance system to be in. They approved us on one line, the funding comes on a different line, and the funding got vetoed. So congratulations, you just bought new health insurance. So what we are doing at the college right now is we're absorbing that cost by trying to cut back on some costs, by dipping some reserves, et cetera, and we are hoping the legislature is going to come around on that. So a net increase in funding from the state, but some of that money is already spoken for because of where we're going in terms of insurance. Nevertheless, we did see a raise this year, and when it comes to resources, we have equipment from the state, we have money from Perkins, and we have money from incentive funding, and I'm going to talk about that incentive funding in just a little while. So there are resources out there for us to use. We have to make the very most of them when we have them. And our employees. All right. I forgot my papers today, so we'll try by memory, and then y'all are going to help me out. In the house, we have some distinguished faculty. So, Dr. David Buckman, where are you, sir, from BCTE? Congratulations. Dr. Jerry Shaver, I saw you earlier. Where are you, sir? And I saw him this morning. I've not spotted him here. He may be online. Dr. Scott Kaysen, are you in the house? Give him his love. I'm certain he is online. Scott, congratulations. The iRise Awards. I was so excited. Talani Torres, where are you? Oh, yeah. Dr. Jamatoria Burton, where are you? There you are. And now is the place where I am forgetting. Who am I forgetting? Somebody help me? Anybody? What's that? Oh, that's right. She left us to go to you. And if you did not know Aisha Golden, who was in curriculum, oh my goodness, the woman was so, well, she's still alive. I mean, Aisha was a one. Maybe she's even watching. Aisha Golden worked in our curriculum. She was so sharp, she was so advanced, she was so technology, and she was a Swiss Army knife, and she did so much for this college behind the scenes. We got her poached by UNF, and we will miss her, but she absolutely deserves that award. So let's applaud in absentia for her. We have got the right people here doing that work. I want to talk a little bit about relating with students. 2 SESI cycles ago, the Community College Survey of Student Engagement, we got some data back that says our faculty-student interaction is lower than the benchmark for colleges that we are compared with. And it's all standardized and it's normed, and this is good data, and it was like, that's not great. The Faculty Senate under Dr. Woodward's leadership took that on, and they said, we want to move that. And they talked about how that could happen. they discussed ways to approach it, and then they pushed those ideas out to everybody and said, join the cause. And then we got our most recent set of SESI results that came back, and we are now above the benchmark. We can move the needle together. And relating with students is so important. It is that rapport. It is what makes us sticky, and I'm going to come back and talk about that a little bit more. Experiential learning. Well, we've talked about going abroad. All of you who are in programs that have internships and clinicals and the time it takes to coordinate those things, we continue to push service learning. It's an absolutely important part of where we are. I'm going to come back and say more about it, but we've got plenty that is hopping in terms of experiential learning. And then lastly, in terms of quality, I've already mentioned the accreditation for our programs. We're in great standing there. I don't think Emily Clevenger is here. How many of you know what performance-based incentive funding is? PBIF? Yeah. So performance-based incentive funding, the state wants students to have certain certifications because businesses will hire them if they have that certification, and it's across all kinds of industries. So as students go through a program, you want them to test, you want them to earn those certifications. It is one of those things that it takes a lot of effort, a lot of focus to get everybody moving in the same direction. 3 years ago, FSCJ earned a little bit over, 2 years ago, FSCJ earned a little bit over $300,000, about $339,000. And that comes back and that goes into resources, and programs can use that for equipment, et cetera. We have a group of people in baccalaureate career and technical education, and I apologize for the people if I omit anybody, but for our academic leaders and faculty who are involved, Carrie Burns was involved, and then the person we unleashed on this is Emily Clevenger, and this year we earned over $1 million in performance-based incentive funding. That is just absolutely outstanding. And it speaks to the quality of what we are doing. It speaks to the quality of what we are doing. So we went all the way from somewhere in the bottom third of all institutions to third in all of the state colleges. We're just a hair behind Broward. We also got performance funding for our accomplishments in AA program as well. We're doing all kinds of things that absolutely make a difference. So I've talked for a lot of years and just come and said, listen, vibrant academic culture, teach with rigor and rapport, have wide fences, have a bias for yes, and with intentionality, I have tried not to come every year and say, here's all the stuff we're going to be doing, get ready. You heard a little bit about a strategic plan today. I'm on board. You heard a little bit about elevating the FSCJ experience. I'm on board. But I've thought, let's keep it simple. And I've thought, let's keep it simple for a few reasons. Some of you may remember the era of initiative fatigue. Remember that? We used to talk about that at this college. Like, oh my gosh, we're running every direction. Some of you remember times I referenced financial aid, putting in a new ERP. There was a lot in this college that did not bring the same energy that we are enjoying today. And what I want to say to you is that when you're in a position like that, you get up every day and you know what you have to do. If something's on fire, your job is to go and put that fire out. And we've all been in positions, sometimes we still are, running around having to put out a fire. So I'm going to do this metaphorically beyond the fire. And I already told Sean Hubble of our culinary program. How are you, Sean? He already knows what this is probably. If I got nothing but dry dirt in a box, and Sean says, John, you're in charge of the herbs for the culinary program, I know what I have to do. Is that not correct? I got to get some seeds. I got to get some water, some sunshine. I got to start to break up that dirt. I got to get the seeds in, and then I need to water it and let it do its thing. And if you do that, you move from that first box to that second box. And in that second box, oh my goodness, we got leaves. Fantastic. And if you keep on doing that, and you keep on watering it, and you keep on giving it fertilizer, guess what? It's going to flower. Here's the problem. He put me in charge of herbs. That's basil. We want leaves. We don't want flowers. So there comes a time, and you're going to get a different message from me this year than you have in prior years. There comes a time where you got to move from let's just fertilize it, let's just water it, let's just put some sunshine onto it, to come out there and say, you know what? We need to do some tending of the garden. We have limited resources. We have goals. We have places we want to get to. But now it's not, we roll out of bed, it's on fire, we go put the fire. Things are going well. So we got to start making some decisions, because if we just keep throwing water and fertilizer on everything, we're going to get a plant that's overgrown. Invasive species, weeds growing, flowering, we don't want any of that. So we need to be mindful. And that's what I want to talk to you about for just a couple of minutes today. This took me a minute. I've already walked you through programs, resources, employees, being relational, experiential, and quality. Oh my God, Pre-Reqs. The Pre-Reqs, well, I'm so proud of myself. Thank you, thank you. These are the things we need to get right. There are institutional elements. What do we have to do? We have to have the right programs, we have to have the right resources, and we have to have great employees. Those of you who are already great employees, what do you want? You want resources. Let me do my job. And you say, if you give me resources to do my job, I will give you great programs. Ta-da, that's how it works. That's the bargain. On the instructional side, I want to make the case to you. There's all kinds of stuff on pedagogy, andragogy. I want to highlight something that I believe we have to lean into as an institution. And I've already touched on it when I said we've got small class sizes and we have to have rapport and we got to be sticky. We have got to get relational with our students. We have got to be experiential with them. And then we've got to hang on to quality. Those are the areas that I think we really need to pay attention to. And I want to make the case to you for just a couple of minutes. And I'm going to go back to the future, last year, because I know you always remember what we talked about at Academic Plenary. Last year, I talked about an experience I had over the summer at an institute called AFIT, where we got to do some futuristic thinking. And they brought AI into it, and they said, sit with AI or ChatGPT for a while and start to think about where you are, a situation in education, and start to think about what are some best possible futures you could get to, and what are some worst possible futures you could get to. Because we're on our way to somewhere, and we don't know where for sure. And the idea behind this was, if you start to do this, you might begin to get some insights into stuff you ought to be thinking about, maybe things you should be cautious about, or maybe things that you should put some time and effort into, so that you can steer things towards the possible future that you would like to be most probable. As Dr. A said, there's all kinds of things that happen that are outside of our control. There's a lot of things that can drive enrollment. But inside of that, there's stuff that we can do. So start to think a little bit about those different possible futures. And in doing so, one of the things I shared with you last year was a possible future where somebody got the idea to say, you know what? We're doing everything online in the state anyway. Why are we doing it with 28 different community colleges? How many different MAC 1105s do I need? If we're teaching 80% of MAC 1105 across the state online, let's put together a statewide board. Let's centralize that sucker and let's get it done. And I am here to tell you, I think there are people that think that way because they are looking for efficiencies. And so for me, and the case I want to make to you today, is we need to think about what is it about our nature, our charism, our existence that says we need to be here in this community. Dr. A touched on it a little bit. He referenced what we're telling students, become irreplaceable. You get it, AI's coming. There's a welder. Become irreplaceable. That's not just a message for students, y'all. That's a message for teachers as well. And we have to think about that. So I don't want to go gloom and doom because I think there's a way forward, but I think that we have to claim it. And here's 4 things that I think about in terms of being a college of the future with that best possible future that I'll call a modern college. First of all, we're always anchored in the mission of a community college. That is open access, that is paying attention to students, that is caring about student success. We always, always, always have to be anchored there. No question about that. But one of the things I want us to think about, and I want to push you to embrace, is that our job is not just teaching and learning. Our job is developing people. And teaching and learning is inside of that. Teaching and learning is inside of that, but developing people is bigger than that. You care about emotional intelligence, you care about soft skills. We hear it from employers and people in the community all the time. Where are they going to get it if we're not helping at least to hone it? I had the opportunity yesterday to be at a aviation completion ceremony. And it is, and I had an opportunity to speak briefly. I said, this is FSCJ at its best. We had about 20 students. They've gone through our airframe and power plant maintenance. They're there. Their families are there, kids, moms, dads. It's awesome. Around the sides of the room are employers with tables that these students are walking around to. They're interviewing on the spot and get jobs because people want to hire them straight out. So you've got employers right there doing this. The whole thing, it's magical. It's perfect. It's everything we should be doing as a community college. And I walked out and I ran into a gentleman. I started to talk to him, and it turns out that he was the grandfather of one of the students who was graduating. And I said, oh, that's awesome. He said, I'll tell you something. He said, my father, so this is the student's great-grandfather. My father was an aviator, and he was in the Navy. And he was in a transport thing, and they had a stopover in Hawaii, and he was there for Pearl Harbor Day. He didn't get out. He says aviation has always been a thread in our family. And then the granddad said, I never had a chance to go do it. I had to do whatever. But our grandson knew this, and he picked it up. Now he's coming out of this program. Now he has got a job. And then he said to me, and I don't deserve to hear this, the faculty deserve to hear it, the administrators of that program, the support people in that program deserve to hear this. He said, FSCJ has been so good for him. He is the happiest I have ever seen him in his life. I know in a sense it's kind of sentimental, but you know those stories are out there. So yes, we have to educate. Yes, we have to give knowledge, but it is about the development of the whole person. We need to think about that because that's something that's not just going to come from a statewide online system or something else. Number 3, we have to have mutual embedding with our community. We have to be embedded in the community. I mentioned Brooks Rehabilitation before. We have to have the community embedded in us. We have got to sew it together. Y'all heard today about dual enrollment. You know, it's actually up around 12% of our enrollments right now are dual enrollment. That is something. Do you know, I've been at this college a long time. About 20 years ago when the dual enrollment march began, we faculty were up in arms. We didn't want those students in our classrooms. Now, I'm not saying there aren't challenges, and we certainly did learn as an institution early on, don't take a bus of them and drop them in a class because now you have a high school class. But you all know those dual enrollment students, they are good students. They are good students, aren't they? Yeah, they are. And then we get to commencement and we see those students who are getting their AA degree before they even graduate high school, mind-blowing. And you talk to them and their families. That is what that mutual embedding is about. Because if we're mutually embedded with the community, we have partnerships like CSX. We have partnerships like Brooks. We have partnerships that you are shortly going to hear about, not today, but read your emails. And the whole point of that is that if we are embedded in the community and the community is embedded in us, we become more essential. And we don't want to become more essential just for survival. We want to be more essential because we can do it better and we can make that difference if we choose to. And then lastly, implicit in all this is we can talk about being embedded in the community, we can talk about developing people, but we better be able to demonstrate that we make some sort of particular difference. Because if not, somebody's going to come and they're going to have a different point of view about the way we ought to do higher education. I took a graphic design course at Miami-Dade College this summer. just wanted to, I've mentioned some of the hot topics. Employers want soft skills. We know that. Yes or no, we need to strengthen internships. We do. We know that. We are asked about the quality of transfer student outcomes. Dr. Chakraborty told me last week, UNF said, let's get together and talk about, we're eating your cooking. Let's talk about how it's going. Historically, our students, when they get over to UNF, they graduate at a higher rate than students who start at UNF. So I know historically we do a good job, but we have to keep on having that conversation. Oh my goodness. We need a point of view about course modalities. People will straight up ask now, are we going to be an online institution? Not while I'm here. But you know what? Yeah. But we got a lot of online. Can I go back to my basil box for a second? You dump that water, you put the seeds, you get the sun, because it's growing and it's growing and it's growing. But we want leaves. We don't want flowers. We better be careful or we're going to get some flowers. So here's the deal, straight up. We are playing chicken with students. I go to meetings. I learn over the years. John, we put out a survey. Students want more classes on campus. John, students say students can't get the classes they want on campus. So then I go to meetings and I say, team, we've got to put more classes out on campus. And they go to meetings and on it goes. And faculty get encoded into those classes. And guess what? Students don't come. And then it dawned on me. If you ask me January 1st of any year if I want to go to the gym, hell yeah, I want to go to the gym. But when it comes time to go to the gym or watch some television and eat some cookies, so when you ask students, hey, do you want to take classes? Yes, I do, because I want to be with the faculty. I want to. So we're playing chicken with students. And at some point, we are going to have to make a decision collectively, probably surgically, and we're going to have to say, you know what? You want to do it? Come here. And they can tell us if they're going to come or not. Now, that is not a beginning of saying, guess what? We're going. All I'm saying is we need to have that conversation. I want you to know that I know we need to have that conversation, and we are going to work on it this year, because what we're doing right now is not going to be sustainable. We need to develop diversified sources of support for programs. Let me say this. I mentioned today that Scott Evans, who's the vice president of our foundation, was not able to be with us. He's under the weather. The foundation raises money for the college. Scott Evans was going to speak at Convocation. We are going to look at where are some diverse sources besides state funding that we can get to. We know grants are out there. We do great at grants. Keep your eyes peeled in case the city of Jacksonville is going to invest in FSCJ, and keep your eyes peeled for what the foundation is going to do. We need to diversify where we can get resources from. Limited budget. We have a limited budget, so we need to measure the impact of our investments. You saw Dr. Ante when she came up and said about travel, one of the things she said is, hey, when you want to go travel, make sure you can talk about something about what's the benefit back for the college, because that question is going to get asked. There are too many good things to do. There are so many good ideas. And so sadly, we have to have some criteria, and the criteria we're going to have is, do we know that it is going to impact students? So we got to continue to have those conversations. The FSCJ experience, Dr. Ante mentioned that as well. So at the executive leadership team, once in a while we get a little data report back, and it says there was a lot of time and effort put into elevating the FSCJ experience. It's the RITS-based training that came through here. Our professional development people work with them. They've done a really nice program. I've been through it twice. And then we kind of see by sector a little bit, like how are we doing? Are employees doing this? And they are across the board. Academics is, academic administrators are going, support people are going. Faculty aren't going to the FSCJ experience. And I had a conversation, and I said, I know why. Because the RITS and the FSCJ experience is about customer service. And as soon as you tell faculty, we want to talk to you about customer service, y'all rightly say, eh. So what I want to say is I'm in conversations now. Audrey talked about the idea that we're going to have some more times that are more convenient, et cetera. I think we need to have conversations at the FSCJ experience where we bring faculty in and say, guess what, y'all? There are parts of the job that we want to be highly, highly, highly responsive to students because they want that and they need that and they deserve that. And there are parts of the job that aren't about customer service. And I believe if we'll have that conversation, you all will come and embrace that. So we're going to talk about that this year as well. I gave props to the Faculty Senate earlier. I want to push that out. And deans are going to hear about this as well. I think that our academic councils need to get stronger. I think they need to talk about within those wide fences, how do we want to do? I hear too many faculty who say, I am teaching this class and somebody else is teaching this class and we have no idea. We may be ships passing in the night. That is not for me to solve. That is for y'all to solve. But what I can do is tell academic councils, have these conversations. And we're going to do the same thing with our business and industry leadership teams. We have some, they are fantastic. We have some that need some help. That's going to be an area of focus this year as well. And you have already heard from Dr. Janiyah Jones and myself about performance evaluations. Those are a lot of the hot topics, are they not? I think I got a lot of them. Okay. So I did my Pre-Reqs and I did my modern college, and the reason I'm walking through that is you take these, I don't just want a set of bullet points. What I want is a framework, and here's where I said it's going to be different. With me, it's always going to be a vibrant academic culture. It's always going to be wide fences. It's always going to be a bias for yes. It's always going to be rigor and rapport, but now we need to start thinking about getting leaves, not flowers, from that herb garden, which means we need to look at where do we cut back a little bit? Where do we prune a little bit? Where do we put resources or not? We need to have those conversations. Woo. Right through the middle of that, you're going to see everything we just talked about. Soft skills, internships, transfer student outcomes, class modalities, identifying needs for diversified sources of support, understanding and measuring the impact of our investments, the FSCJ experience, stronger academic councils and built, and performance evaluations. Those are 9 of the conversations we need to have, and we will get them rolling. But what I want to suggest to you, and I will stick with this, y'all have heard about vibrant academic culture year after year after year. Welcome to a strategic academic framework for a modern college. This is what we need to do. We need to focus on the fact and think about the fact that we develop people. We need to make sure we are building partnerships, that mutual embedding, and we need to be able to demonstrate that we are making a particular difference. Where do we need to do that? Programs, resources, and employees. And then the instructional things we need to do, we need to be relational, we need to be experiential, and we need to show that we have high quality. I think this captures a lot of what we need to do. And what I want to protect against as we move forward as the institution, I want to protect against initiative fatigue. I want to grow more of the herbs. I don't want the flowers. I don't want overgrowth. I don't want invasive species. Either do you all. We don't want to be running in 1,000 different directions. You can feel the positive energy that is happening at FSCJ right now. You can feel it. We have got to make sure that we manage it, prioritize our conversations, and have the right ones. I look across this room, you guys, I mean, we have so much horsepower in here. On behalf of our students, on behalf of our community, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for everything you continue to do for this college and for the community. I wish you a great beginning to the academic year. I will see you out and about. Thank you. I have no raffles, so I'll pick up my game next year. Thanks, y'all. Have fun. Wait, Bill? Oh, my goodness. I also wanted to say, Winter Maravillas. Oh, my goodness. That flash mob today. Stand up, Winter, please. Bill, thank you. she approached me. I know some of you are going, that's fine. She approached me at, we have the post-graduation little thing that I host, and she came up to me. I had beer in hand, and she said, would you do a flash mob? And I said, I will. It's not about me. I said, I will if you promise me it's not inherently lame. She is such a great teacher, such a great teacher. Winter, thank you so much. Y'all have a great rest of your week.